Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today's project is going to be a thermal hoodie. Start by smoothing out as many wrinkles as you can, and then decide where you want the center of your spiral to be. And for this one, I'm going to be doing an off-center spiral. So I give the area just a little pinch, and using the microwave splatter guard and a hemostat, I'm going to create the spiral. So I click the hemostat down on the first click. You do not need to overly tighten up your hemostat because you don't want to tear a hole in your project. I give the hemostat 2 or 3 twists, and then with my opposite hand I create the pleats and the spiral. And I go as far as I can using the microwave splatter guard until I just can't go any farther. Then I will unclick the hemostat, hold down the center of the spiral, and gently wiggle it out. This project is on the larger side, so I'm going to secure it by using my favorite rubber bands, the ones that have been stretched out by the heat. So the thing about these rubber bands is if you apply heat, which I do by using an electric blanket, and I do have a tutorial on the electric blanket if you're curious to know what I'm talking about, but when you apply heat to them, they stretch out to the size of the project and they don't go back. But they're great for using for these larger projects. So I save them. Just rinse them and then put them in their own little special container for the large projects. Now, long sleeves can seem very intimidating, but I want to assure you, don't be afraid. It's just like a giant t-shirt. And quite frankly, I find the sleeves to be an added bonus because they sort of help button everything up and make a really nice tight spiral. I like to use a washable marker to mark out my pattern, and for this one I'm using 8 colors, so I'm making 16 pieces of pie, and I'm making sure that they intersect in the center of the spiral. Now it's time for the fun part. We get to add the dye. And for this project, it's a special request from my dear friend Melissa, and of course her favorite color is purple. So I chose the prettiest purples that I have. Well, all the purples are pretty, but ones that I thought would look really good together. And so here we go. I decided to add a little blue in just for some contrast, and Mountain Lake is a really beautiful color. It's one of Dharma's special order dyes, and in order to get special order dyes you have to order 10 pounds, and that's just way too much dye to order. So if you would like to get smaller amounts of special order dye, you can go to Facebook and you can go to a group called Tie-Dye Supplies Marketplace. And I get my dyes from Kathy Sprague. I've had a wonderful experience. She's a real great lady. So go over there and follow that page, and when new dye drops are available, you'll get notified. When adding your dye, you want to be mindful of the center of the spiral. You don't want to put a whole bunch of each color down in the very center. It can just become a muddy mess. So if you watch when I'm adding the dye, I will cross over the center, but right in the center of the spiral, I'm no longer tapping the spoon. I usually will choose maybe 2 of my favorite colors to meet down in the center, and that's enough. You do want to make sure you have some dye down in there, or else you'll have a white center, and I've made that mistake before by being fearful. You have to have a little bit of dye, but for 8 colors, you don't need to have all 8 colors in the very center of the spiral. I hope that makes sense. Another pretty bright blue for contrast. So the dye giveaway is over and the winners have been chosen, and I'm not going to hunt you down and find you. If you want to get your dye, you need to see if your name was drawn and then contact me. I need your full name and your mailing address, so go find that tutorial. It was yesterday's tutorial. And congratulations to those that won, and I wish that I could have given dye away to everyone. I really enjoy doing the giveaways and I think they're a lot of fun, but unfortunately only 2 people were able to win this time. But I want to say thank you to everybody that participated and that subscribed over at Goyo's Garden and Tie-Dye. I really do appreciate the call to action. You guys are awesome. Next, I give the project a quick little sprinkle of soda ash for good measure. I'm going to be adding quite a bit of ice, so I want to make sure the pH stays up around 10.5 to 11. And I also have this project on a slight incline. So notice how I have my rack being held up with clothespins so it doesn't move, and then I have the bottom propped up with empty dye jars. And you want to let the project batch for at least 24 hours at 70 degrees or higher after the ice melts. And I can tell you for this project, it batched for the full 48 hours. Now it's time for the rinse out. You want to start by using cold water to rinse away any soda ash that might still be reacting within the fabric, and then increase your water up to hot and rinse until the water runs pretty much clear. And for projects like these that are thick, they hold on to a lot of the water and the dye, so you do have to rinse maybe a little bit extra. From here, I take it to the washing machine, and I like to use Kirillon, which is a professional textile detergent. And then I like to do a final hot water cycle using Milsoft, and that is a professional fabric softener. And I get both Kirillon and Milsoft from Dharma Trading Company, and I have links for them down below in the description box, along with everything else that I use for tie-dye, so make sure that you check that out. And then I'll put it in the dryer, and I'll iron it, and for these I don't really have to iron them, they don't need it. But then we will come back and we will see the results. Well, here it is, guys. Here's our thermal hoodie, and I think it turned out fantastic. I love this thing. Now these flat pictures are on the table lit by the ring light, so they're super bright. It is super bright. Maybe not quite this bright. And then the next photographs are on the kitchen floor, just so I could incorporate the full length of the sleeve. And they're really dark. The hoodie is somewhere in between. I love the color combination, and I'm glad that I added blue. It just, it really perks it up. Now, in the last spiral I made, I was asked quite a bit about the blue that was on the back of it. Where did the blue come from? You didn't see me add the blue. That happened with this one too, if you noticed in the washout. So when the dye melts from the ice, it goes through and penetrates down, it splits into its component colors. Plus I added blue on this one. But each pleat has a top and a bottom. So the top of the pleat is where I added the color, and you can see the colors here. And then in between the pleats on this one, you see all those blue streaks. That is the back of the thermal hoodie. It's hard to explain. I just understand it because I've been doing this for a long time. And if you watch my spirals, because I make a lot of them, you'll continue to see the pattern, and hopefully it'll make more sense. And as you start to make them and do ice dyeing, it'll start to make more sense. But I'll try to touch on it, more during the summer here, because I know that we have a lot of new dyers here. So overall, I love this thermal hoodie. What do you guys think? Please leave me some comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up, and click the bell and set it to all. That way you get notified of future uploads. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing!